In Chapter 5, we are going to look at personality and values. We begin by defining personality. Personality is a dynamic concept, meaning it is changing all the time. It describes the total of growth and development of a person's whole psychological system. The text definition is that personality is the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts to and interacts with others. One of the greatest challenges in the study of personality is its measurement. Managers need to know how to measure personality because accurately measuring personality gives managers an advantage in the recruitment and hiring processes. Typically, personality is measured using self-report surveys. Research indicates our culture influences the way we rate ourselves. People in individualistic countries tend towards self-enhancement, while people in collectivist countries like Taiwan, China, and South Korea tend towards self-diminishment. Observer rating surveys provide an independent assessment of personality. Here, a coworker or another observer does the rating. Though the results of self-reports and observer rating surveys are strongly correlated, research suggests observer rating surveys predict job success more than self-ratings alone. However, each can tell us something unique about an individual's behavior, so a combination of self-reports and observer reports predicts performance better than any one type of information. An early argument centered on whether or not personality was the result of hereditary or environment. Personality appears to be a result of both influences. Heredity refers to those factors that were determined at conception. The heredity approach argues that the ultimate explanation of an individual's personality is the molecular structure of the genes located in the chromosomes. Popular characteristics include shy, aggressive, submissive, lazy, ambitious, loyal, and timid. These are personality traits. The more consistent the characteristic over time, and the more frequently it occurs in diverse situations, the more important the trait is in describing the individual. The most widely used personality framework is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. Some of you may have even taken this at your place of employment. In this test, individuals are classified as extroverted or introverted, sensing or intuitive, thinking or feeling, and perceiving or judging. These classifications are then combined into 16 personality types, which we will look at over the next few slides. First, let's look at introverted or extroverted. Extroverted means outgoing, sociable, and assertive, while introverted means quiet and shy. When we compare sensing and intuitive, sensing types are practical and prefer routine and order, and they focus on the details. Intuitive types rely on unconscious processes and look at the big picture. Here we look at thinking or feeling and judging or perceiving. Thinking types use reason and logic to handle problems, while feeling types rely on their personal values and emotions. Judging types want to control and prefer order and structure, while perceiving types are flexible and spontaneous. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator looks at one trait from each of the 4 pairs that we identified in the previous slides. If we look at the first bucket, we have INTJs. This includes introvert, intuitive, thinking, and judging. These are the visionaries. They usually have original minds and great drive. They are characterized as skeptical, critical, independent, determined, and often stubborn. Next, we have the ESTJs, which are the extroverts, sensing, thinking, and judging. These are the organizers. They are realistic, logical, analytical, decisive, and have a natural head for business or mechanics. Finally, we have the ENTPs, which are extroverts, intuitive, thinking, and perceiving. These are the conceptualizers. They are innovative, individualistic, versatile, and attractive to entrepreneurial ideas. They tend to be resourceful in solving challenging problems, but may neglect routine assignments. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator is widely used. Some organizations that use it include Apple Computer, AT&T, Citigroup, GE, and 3M. Although the Myers-Briggs test is widely used, it has mixed validity as a measure of personality. Some of the issues includes that it forces people into one type or another. In other words, you're either an introvert or an extrovert. Also, people who retake the survey often receive different results, and it is also difficult to interpret. Finally, results tend to be unrelated to job performance. Now, let's look at another model that is a more consistent measure of personality. This is known as the Big Five model. An impressive body of research supports that 5 basic dimensions underlie all other personality dimensions. The 5 basic dimensions are extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, emotional stability, and openness to experience. Let's look at each of these for a minute. Extroversion is the comfort level with relationships. Extroverts tend to be gregarious, assertive, and sociable. Introverts tend to be reserved, timid, and quiet. Agreeableness is an individual's propensity to defer to others. People who are high on agreeableness are cooperative, warm, and trusting. Low agreeableness is indicated by people who are cold, disagreeable, and antagonistic. Conscientiousness is a measure of reliability. A highly conscientious person is responsible, organized, dependable, and persistent. Those who score low on the dimension are easily distracted, disorganized, and unreliable. Emotional stability describes a person's ability to withstand stress. People with positive emotional stability tend to be calm, self-confident, and secure. Those with high negative scores tend to be nervous, anxious, depressed, and insecure. And lastly, openness to experience suggests the range of interest and fascination with novelty. Extremely open people are creative, curious, and artistically sensitive. Those at the other end of the openness category are conventional and find comfort in the familiar. Now, let's look at the implications the Big Five model has for work and life. Extroversion is a strong predictor of leadership emergence, but they can also be more impulsive. For people who are agreeable, they are better liked, they're compliant and rule abiding, so there are less accidents. They engage in citizenship behavior, and there are lower levels of career success. People who are conscientious put greater effort and persistence towards their activities. They have more drive and discipline, and they are better organized, and they like to plan. Those that are high in emotional stability, this is the category that is most strongly related to life satisfaction, job satisfaction, and low stress levels. They are best able to adapt to changing conditions. And finally, those that are open to experience are more comfortable with ambiguity and more adaptable to change. The dark triad is a group of negative personality traits, including Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy, all three of which have relevance for organizational behavior. Machiavellianism is the degree to which an individual is pragmatic, maintains emotional distance, and believes that ends can justify means. Narcissism refers to the tendency to be arrogant, have a grandiose sense of self-importance, require excessive admiration, and have a sense of entitlement. Finally, psychopathy is the tendency for a lack of concern for others and a lack of guilt or remorse when their actions cause harm. The dark triad is a helpful framework for studying the three dominant dark side traits in current personality research, and researchers are exploring other traits as well. One emerging framework incorporates 5 additional aberrant compound traits based on the Big Five. We will look at these in this slide as well as the next slide. First, antisocial people are indifferent and callous towards others. Second, borderline people have low self-esteem and high uncertainty. Third, schizotypal individuals are eccentric and disorganized. Fourth, obsessive-compulsive people are perfectionist and can be stubborn, yet they attend to details, carry a strong work ethic, and may be motivated by achievement. And finally, avoidant individuals feel inadequate and hate criticism. Some other personality traits relevant to organizational behavior include core self-evaluation, self-monitoring, and proactive personality. People who have a positive core self-evaluation see themselves as effective, capable, and in control. People who have a negative core self-evaluation tend to dislike themselves. Self-monitoring refers to an individual's ability to adjust his or her behavior to external situational factors. Individuals high in self-monitoring show considerable adaptability. They are highly sensitive to external cues, can behave differently in different situations, and are capable of presenting striking contradictions between their public persona and their private selves. An individual with a proactive personality actively takes the initiative to improve his or her current circumstances. These individuals identify opportunities, show initiative, take action, and persevere. As mentioned on the previous slide, self-monitoring is the extent to which a person observes his or her own self-expressive behavior and adapts it to the demands of the situation. High self-monitors are sometimes called chameleons, who readily adapt their self-presentation to their surroundings. Low self-monitors, on the other hand, often are criticized for being on their own planet and for being insensitive to others. Research shows that the effect of a particular trait on organizational behavior depends on the situation. Two theoretical frameworks that can help explain this are the situational strength theory and the trait activation theory. We will explore these on the next few slides. Situation strength theory indicates that the way personality translates into behavior depends on the strength of the situation. This includes the degree to which norms, cues, or standards dictate appropriate behavior. Strong situations show us the right behavior, pressure us to exhibit it, and discourage wrong behavior. Weak situations, on the other hand, include those that are anything goes. We are freer to express our personality and behavior. Personality traits better predict behavior in weak situations. Situation strength in an organization can be analyzed in terms of clarity, consistency, constraints, and consequences. Clarity is the degree to which cues about work duties and responsibilities are available and clear. Consistency is the extent to which cues regarding work duties and responsibilities are compatible with one another. Constraints are the extent to which an individual's freedom to decide or act is limited by forces outside their control. And finally, consequences are the degree to which decisions or actions have important implications for the organization or its members, clients, suppliers, and so on. Trait activation theory predicts that some situations, events, or interventions activate a trait more than other. This helps us foresee which jobs suit certain personality types. For example, a commission-based sales job likely activates individual differences, and extroverts are more reward sensitive. This shows that this type of job may be more suitable for an extrovert versus an introvert, or that it could even increase the extrovert personality in somebody who is typically more introverted. Here are the two takeaways from the situation strength theory and the trait activation theory. Personality and the situation both affect work behavior, but when the situation is right, the power of personality to predict behavior is even higher. Now, let's turn our attention to values. Values represent basic convictions that a person has about what is right, good, or desirable. Values have both content and intensity attributes and have the tendency to be stable and enduring. An individual's set of values ranked in terms of intensity is considered the person's value system. Values lay the foundation for our understanding of attitudes and motivation and generally influence attitudes and behaviors. A specific mode of conduct or end state of existence is personally or socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode of conduct or end state of existence. Terminal values refer to desirable end states of existence. These are goals a person wants to achieve during their lifetime. Examples include economic success, freedom, health, and well-being. Instrumental values refer to the preferable modes of behavior, which is the means of achieving the terminal values. This includes self-reliance, personal discipline, and kindness. Exhibit 5-4 shows that different generations hold different work values. Boomers, also known as baby boomers, entered the workforce during the 1960s through the mid-1980s. Gen Xers entered the workforce beginning in the mid-1980s, and the most recent entrants to the workforce are the millennials. Though it is fascinating to think about generational values, remember that these classifications lack solid research support. Generational classifications may help us understand our own and other generations better, but we must also appreciate their limits. In the past, organizations wanted to use personality to match individuals to specific jobs. Now, however, organizations want to match individuals' personality and values to the organization. Why is this occurring? The main reason is that organizations are now less concerned with the person's ability to perform a specific job. They are more concerned with their flexibility to meet changing situations and remain committed to the organization. Let's first look at the person-job fit. This identifies 6 personality types. It proposed that satisfaction and the propensity to leave a position depend on how well individuals match their personalities to a job. A cultural influence does exist here. Individualistic cultures, this is likely to increase job satisfactions because workers expect to be heard and respected by management. The United States is an example of an individualistic culture. Collectivist cultures, on the other hand, a person job fit here is a weaker predictor of job satisfaction. This is because people do not expect to have a job tailored to them. An example of a collectivist culture is China. The person-organization fit is the most important for an organization facing a dynamic and changing environment. Such organizations require employees who are able to readily change tasks and move fluidly between teams. It argues that people leave jobs that are not matched with their personalities. Using the Big Five terminology, for instance, we could expect that people high on extroversion fit well with aggressive and team-oriented organizational cultures, that people high on agreeableness match up better with a supportive organizational climate than one focused on aggressiveness, and that people high on openness to experience fit better in organizations that emphasize innovation rather than standardization. Research on person-organization fit has also looked at whether people's values match the organization's culture. This match predicts job satisfaction, commitment to the organization, and low turnover. Although person-job fit and person-organization fit are considered the most salient dimensions for workplace outcomes, other avenues of fit are worth examining. These include person-group fit and person-supervisor fit. Person-group fit is important in team settings where the dynamics of team interactions significantly affect work outcomes. Person-supervisor fit has become an important area of research since poor fit in this dimension can lead to lower job satisfaction and reduced performance. One of the most widely referenced approaches to analyzing variations among cultures is Hofstede's 5 value dimensions. In this study, 116,000 IBM employees in 40 countries were surveyed. They were asked about work-related values. They found that managers and employees varied on 5 dimensions of national culture. These include power distance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance, and long-term versus short-term orientation. We will look at these over the next few slides. Power distance is the degree to which people in a country accept that power in institutions and organizations is distributed unequally. When we look at individualism and collectivism, individualism is the degree to which people in a country prefer to act as individuals rather than as members of groups. Collectivism emphasizes a tight social framework in which people expect others and groups in which they are not a part of to look after them and protect them. Masculinity is the degree to which values such as the acquisition of money and material goods prevail. They also define traditional masculine roles such as achievement, power, and control, as opposed to viewing men and women as equal. If cultures receive a high rating, this indicates the culture has separate roles for men and women and that men tend to dominate society. Femininity is the degree to which people value relationships and show sensitivity and concern for others. These type of cultures see little differentiation between male and female roles and treat women as equals to men in all respects. Uncertainty avoidance is the degree to which people in a country prefer structure over unstructured situations. In cultures that score high in this, people have increased anxiety about uncertainty and ambiguity and use laws and controls to reduce uncertainty. In low-rated cultures, people take more risk and are more readily accept change. The final dimension we will look at in Hofstede's 5 value dimensions is long-term versus short-term orientation. This measures a society's devotion to traditional values. Long-term orientations look to the future and value thrift and persistence. They also value tradition. Short-term orientation values the here and now. They accept change more readily and don't see commitments as impediments to change. In the last slide for Chapter 5, we are going to look at the GLOBE framework. The Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness Program, also known as GLOBE, began updating Hofstede's research using data from 825 organizations and 62 countries. The variables studied are similar to Hofstede's, with some additional ones as well. For example, performance orientation is the degree to which a society encourages and rewards group members for performance improvement and excellence. And humane orientation is the degree to which a society rewards individuals for being altruistic, generous, and kind to others. This concludes Chapter 5. Please let me know if you have any questions.